Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am Miquel Llobera, also known as Fettle Feign. I do indeed have yet to attain omnipresent super intergalactic oneness, but I'm nearly there, folks. I'm nearly there. So are you, I'm sure. Right. Interesting show I've got lined up for you today. I have the second part of my remixes that I've been making, taking segments from the documentary film Tuning In, American Channels in America, or Spirit Channels, sorry, Spirit Channelers in America, American Channelers in America. I suppose that's the best place to channel Americans is in America, but no, Spirit Channelers in America. If you haven't watched it yet, I do recommend it. You can watch it for free on YouTube for 1 hour and I think it's an hour and 19 minutes. Essentially it's broken up into key segments where each of the 5 channelers involved are talking about various topics, channeling information about various topics. I played 3 last week. I think they were entitled God. I think it was God, Law of Attraction, and No Victims. That's right. And this week we're going to be listening to Soul, Horns and Halos, Body and Consciousness, and Finally. Those are the titles of the segments. I also got some juicy Roy Harper on tonight, but rather than just play some Roy Harper songs, I've actually got some segments of Roy talking about his work and what he was trying to achieve with some of his music, his inspirations and so on and so forth. But anyway, that's the future. What we're talking about now, is how you can get in touch with me tonight whilst I'm doing the show. You can either text contact me through Skype, which is, of course, Fettle Feign, all one word, lowercase letters. Do only text me. I can't answer any calls because that will cut off the show. However, you can contact me through Skype, through the website. However, I will warn you that I'm having problems with my internet at the moment, not with the connection, but for some reason, since I set up the computer in this new location, in a village called Slime, just outside Morecambe, we are, for some reason, my browser keeps closing, it keeps crashing. It's strange. Obviously, I don't want to throw the whole system off, and I'll be constantly trying to connect to it throughout the show. However, so it's very likely for me to connect to you. Simply by email at peaceofmind@criticalmassradio.co.uk. That's peaceofmind@criticalmassradio.co.uk. I do check that email. So if you want to contact me about anything and everything, what's been doing in tonight's show or previous shows or something in the future or something completely off topic, then do feel free to drop me an email. Right. So, I have a song. First, I'm going to play a song now. Just before I do, actually, oh yes, one more thing. Disclaimer. Anything and everything expressed, opinion-wise, in this show is purely the opinion of the host of this show, and is not necessarily shared by the other hosts of Critical Mass Radio, or is held as a philosophy of Critical Mass Radio in general as a whole, so it were, or so to speak. So anything I do say, if it offends you, it's your own fault, really. Because offence can only happen from within. However, if you must feel you should project that emotion and that feeling of offence somewhere, project it at me as an individual, not any of my fellow hosts or the radio station as a whole. Please. And that was, as he said at the end, Sabali, patience. Something which I'll be teaching my son. First thing I'm going to be teaching myself. Patience. Yeah, that was for Jordan. I'm sorry to have lost World Change. He finds it very difficult to listen to the website. I know we've been having problems with that recently. I find listening to it by going to Blog Talk Radio and then clicking the link for play this show on alternative media player. Just go through Windows Media Player, and it takes about 10 seconds to buffer, and then it's all good. It's all gravy, and you can do other stuff on the PC without to fiddle about with the internet. Fair enough, you have to open up a separate window for chat if you want to do that, but hey. So, wherever you're listening to, whenever you're listening to, if you listen to this on podcast, thank you for your time, your attention, and your patience and tolerance, which I'm sure you all have noodles of, just like me. Well, nobody's perfect, certainly least of all me. So yeah, what I have for you tonight was, as I was saying, Roy Harper. He's an artist that's played a massive role in my life, actually, in regards to influence on an emotional or spiritual level, to things that were occurring within my physical third-dimensional life. Apparently my son always kicks off when my show's on. See, 'cause he knows he can do better, and he will one day. He shall surpass me. What was I saying? Yeah, I first heard Roy Harper, actually. First time I ever heard him was back in 2002 or 3. It was 2003, actually. And I was coming back home with my friend Richard to his house, and I'd eaten a sort of just about threshold dose of mushrooms, not to the point where I had massive hallucinations, but that level of dose that just sort of seems to grease the cogs of your mind. It seems to like open up all the valves and allow thoughts to stream seamlessly through your mind without seemingly any discernible pause or gap, and it all seems to you seem to be able to connect the most relevant points of any thing or story or expression or word or context or event or anything you can link it in like a seamless chain. It's beautiful, and I was having this extremely in-depth conversation with my friend Richard on the bus. He was loving it. He was buzzing. He didn't have any himself, but he was buzzing off me buzzing, and he was asking me like in-depth questions. And I think we were discussing like things like America and America's role in history and why they are the way they are, and they project themselves, and really deep stuff on this bus travelling from Lancaster to Ingleton, which is, although there's only 17 kilometres between the two, the bus journey takes about an hour and 10 minutes because it goes all around the countryside, and it was full of various old people and a few mothers, and mostly just really like rural, parochial folk of the country. And I was just babbling this really deep stuff, and it was really meaningful. You know what? It was really, really, really good. I mean, I'd probably have a completely different viewpoint. I remember some of the points I was making about the age of America and how it was a very young country, but catapulted to such a level of prominence on the world stage in such a short time, bound to cause some sort of social schism. But anyway, things along those lines. And most people on the bus were just like sort of deadlocked, looking straight, nobody saying a single word. They must have all been listening to me because I was talking very audibly, very audibly. It wasn't until afterwards I realised how loud I was actually speaking. People must have got off that bus thinking, what the hell was that? But there was this one lad at the back of the bus, and he, well, especially when I was off on my tirade about America, he was just bobbing backwards and forwards on the back of the bus, going, oh yeah, oh yeah, It was, everything I was saying just seemed to resonate with this lad, and he was really picking up on it. He was like, oh yeah, man, you know what, bang on. Beautiful moment. And we got back to my friend's house, and he said, Michael, listen to this. It's from my dad's CD collection. Listen to this guy. Put on Roy Harper, I Hate the White Man. And I don't know if you've listened to that song. I haven't played it on this show yet, and I don't know why I haven't. I should have. In fact, I am going to play it on the show tonight, because it's an integral part of what I love about Roy, and to put it into context of how I was introduced to this chap would, I suppose, help people to understand why it is I'm so enamoured by his work and what he's done and what he's sort of managed to achieve with his work. So I am going to, live on air now, hunt out that track. Here it is, and I'm going to load it in, because Roy deserves that much, at least. So yeah, and so put this into context, I was at this stage starting to come down off the mushrooms, but it was still very much in effect. And never heard this guy before, and so I sat down. The room was getting pretty dark. It was like this time of year, actually, it's mushroom season, and banged down his computer. And it was like the end of a really nice sunny day, and it was like dusk sort of light, and my mind was, felt fresh and clean and connected, and in a state of deep reverence for just existence, and taking in every morsel of every moment. And this song comes on, and from that moment on, my life really did take on a drastically different turn. Certainly my emotional and spiritual outlook took a consciousness knock or hit on that particular moment. 7, so it was, I think it's 8 minutes. 8-minute long song. Over those 8 minutes, a change in frequency of my consciousness occurred, and I borrowed that album, and I loved every song from it, and found something within it that resonated with me at the time, very profoundly. It was strange. The synchronicity of the way in which it connected with what was going on in my life at the time was incredible. And it really sort of pushed me towards that sort of vein of philosophy, seeker. It helped me become the seeker again, I suppose is the best way to put it. And I suppose another reason why I haven't played that song on the show, that I haven't played that song on the show as well before, I think that song needs to be rewritten to say I hate the bank man rather than the white man. Now, at the time that song was written, in 1972 or 1, I think, 1971. Correct me if I'm wrong, Philip. I'm pretty sure it's 1971. I'm gonna go with 1971. The depth of understanding of exactly what was going on, who was pulling the strings, and so on and so forth, was known by very few people. There hadn't been this mass consciousness awakening that we've had over the last 10-15 years, due in no small part to the advent of the internet. So at the time, it seemed very much like the ones who were really yanking the chain and pulling the strings in the show were just simply politicians. It was them; they were at the top. And it stopped. The book stopped there, but they were in control. So you can't really do anything with them because they always get away with it because they're politicians. And it just so happened at the time, within the context of Roy's culture, they were white, pink, pink politicians. They were white men, and so it seemed to be that the power brokers of the governments of the West and the governments that had the most power were white men. So within that context, it's very easy to see how he would come to a conclusion like that and to express that frustration and that goal, what he was seeing and hearing, I suppose. That was the most eloquent thing he could come up with, and it is very eloquent. It's really profound and deep. Anyway, going to bang on now. The first of our tuning in remixes. This one is called Soul Remix. I wish I'd made a list of the tunes that I'd mixed them with. However, if you're really dying to know, drop me an email or ask me, and I'll get it to you somehow. All right. Oh, by the way, I should note that I have managed to log on to the studio. So if you do want to call in using the Skype button on the website, then please feel free to do so. I now have the ability to see it. I will endeavour to make sure I check it every 2 minutes. I'll either have the chat room on or the Blog Talk studio on, check in, see if there's a caller in. So if you just type that you're calling in the chat bar, then I'll know and I'll be able to flip over and get you on. Right, so there is no not to be, there is only to be. To be. That, of course, ending was Bashar, one of my favourites in the world of channeling, one of my favourite entities that have come through a channeler. He's a very no-nonsense entity. I mean, to be honest, the majority of them are no BS and no nonsense, and you get straight down to it. But Bashar certainly has a whip-snap way of getting across some absolute pearls and gems of wisdom. Yeah. So, as I said, I'm going to be checking. No, nobody's calling in yet. Yeah, a lot of things been going on in my life, in the world at large, apparently. But as per usual, although I've been keeping a slight more eye on what's been going on than usual, purely because we are house sitting for Vicky's mother, and so there is a television with Sky on it. So it's been on a bit more than usual. So I've been able to keep up with things a bit more than usual. But it's not even a case of wanting to keep up with them, really. It's just been a case of it's been there, so you put it on in the background. But a lot of my time's been taken up with my son and various other things. So getting in the process to move up here and getting all that sorted out. I still, been a lot more disconnected from what's going on in the outside world. I'm aware that what was it that was on the other day? There's going to be a change, some sort of change in benefits, I think, whereby I was hearing on the radio that they were looking at various things, such as that if you were on benefits, you would be restricted to how many children you can have, which came as a bit of a shock. I thought this was the UK. I didn't realise it was China. But apparently it is. And something else about benefits. Something to do with... That's right, yeah, some sort of strike system whereby my friend, a world changer, who was in earlier, was telling me if you don't go, if the job centre give you a job, say, look, here's this job coming up, go and do an interview for that. If you don't do it because either you don't want to do that job, you don't think it's going to be good for you, or that you're going to get anywhere with it, or that it's going to help you in any way, you think you can do, you're holding out for a better job, which is your right to do. Only you can know your own true worth, and then prove that by getting a job that you want to do and doing well at it. But rather having to take these jobs that are going to be foisted on you, which you're probably going to hate, so you're not going to do very well at, so you'll probably get sacked from. Well, you'll probably end up, having to leave from anyway, and then go back into this. It's just pointless, time wasting. But apparently, if you don't start going to these interviews, then they're going to stop your housing benefit for a month, or and then if you do it again, so like 3 strikes. If you do it again, you get stopped for 3 months, and if you do it again, you get it stopped for 6 months. It's some strange thing like this. Back to work bollocks for me next week at airport, or else. Right, okay. So there you go. Is that Jordan? That's a make that picture. Is that you, Jordan? Homebrew, would you? Yeah, back to work scheme it's called, and it is a scheme as well, proper scheming. But that's the way things are. So anyway, let's move on. As I promised, a bit of spoken word from Roy, talking about songs of love. Really interesting chap, Roy Harper. If I ever meet the man again, I am thinking about trying to get an interview with him, actually. But if I do ever have the chance to meet him and talk to him again, I really want to apologise to him, because I've already told this story once before, but I went to get his autograph, and I couldn't think of anything to say. I was like a bit starstruck. This guy had a massive influence on my life, and got me through some hard times. And all I could say was, I bet you this all the time, but worship you, man. What a twat. So, which is really not what he's about at all. Saying that to him probably would have, disrespectful, I think. I would like to apologise to him for that and say, sorry man, just want you to know that your music influenced my life and was there for me in some really hard times, and connected me in a way that gave me emotional and spiritual stability through some very tumultuous and stormy seas, consciously and unconsciously. Something like that, you know what I mean? More true to the heart. Oh, I love you, man. I worship you. Brilliant. That's the only way. That's crap. Yeah. So, next sample I'm going to play for you is entitled Horns and Halos, which is Horns and Halos remix. And after I play this remix, I am going to give a notice, an online notice, public notice of my intent and conditional acceptance of something. And it's not what you think it is, probably. All will be revealed after, but you always had the power. You never had the power. Although never say never. So can you say you've never had the power? Confusing. What I mean to say is that you can never not have the power, because the power is always yours to have. It's whether you choose to use it or not. I suppose within the world of free men and lawful rebellion, it's the equivalent to the understanding that you only have rights insofar as you are willing to enact them, enforce them, to stand under them or by them. And that's a simple matter. You can only have the rights you're willing to keep, you're willing to use. The reason I played that clip is, that clip's not, apart from the fact that I'm playing the series of them, that particular clip I've been thinking about today, and one of the issues, one of my big issues with the movement as a whole, and with lawful rebellion and all this stuff, don't get me wrong, I think it's fantastic, and I'm so glad to be a part of it and experience it within this lifetime and this period on Earth. But something I've always expressed is this notion or belief that when we have wrested control back from the so-called powers that be, when we have restored balance, and when we have restored homeostatic existence and social balance and order, every man, woman and child is truly educated, taught to think properly and critically. Everyone is provided for, energy is free, and we live in a society that simply exists, A, for the sake of existing, and B, to improve that state of existence. However, there is a notion that these people, the so-called powers that be, deserve or should be, or is appropriate for them to be executed in some manner. Hung, shot, drawn, quartered, beheaded, gassed, however have you. In order for a new and better world to exist, these people need to be, for want of a better term, killed, gotten rid of. They cannot exist in this new and better world. I would first like to read an excerpt from a book. It's the first book in the series of Game of Thrones. Now, I watched the television program and really enjoyed it. And I thought, if the television program is this good, the books must be amazing. And so far, they haven't failed to meet that expectation. Now, early on in the book, there is a part where a lord known as Eddard Stark has to carry out an execution of a deserter from an institute called the Black Watch, and his second to youngest son, Bran, has escorted him for this first ever viewing of an execution. And in the land that these chaps own, it is of the old way that it is the Lord himself that carries out the King's justice, i.e. the execution. And on the way back from the execution, Eddard Stark asks his son if he understands why he had to execute the man. He replies, obviously, that because he was an oath breaker from the Night's Watch. But anyway, this is the excerpt from the story. His lord father smiled. "Oh, old Nan has been telling you stories again. In truth, the man was an oath breaker and a deserter from the Night's Watch. No man is more dangerous. The deserter knows his life is forfeit if he is taken, so he will not flinch from any crime, no matter how vile. But you mistake me. The question was not why the man had to die, but why I must do it." Bran had no answer for that. "King Robert has a headsman," he said uncertainly. "He does," his father admitted, "as did the Targaryen kings before him. Yet our way is the older way. The blood of the first men still flows in the veins of the Starks, and we hold to the belief that the man who passes the sentence should swing the sword. If you would take a man's life, you owe it to him to look into his eyes and hear his final words. And if you cannot bear to do that, then perhaps the man does not deserve to die. One day, Bran, you will be Rob's bannerman, holding a keep of your own for your brother and your king, and justice will fall to you. When that day comes, you must take no pleasure in the task, but neither must you look away. A ruler who hides behind paid executioners soon forgets what death is. And so, on the back of that, I would like to give my official public notice that I conditionally accept that when balance is restored to this good earth, we have achieved social homeostasis, and those who would cajole and plan and scheme and plot, those who have pulled the strings of power in order to stop the earth from achieving that state, are finally brought to justice and held ready for the passing of their sentences. I conditionally accept that these men and women may suffer the sentence of death. However, the condition is this: that the one who passes the sentence has to be the one who is the executioner. One man for one man, one woman for one woman. One man passes the sentence over one other man, and then is responsible for the carrying out, the executing of that sentence. He must look him in the eye, or she must look her in the eye, and hear their final words, and then carry out the sentence by whatever means has been deemed appropriate. And from that day forth, the one who carries out the sentence must, in all their dealings, private dealings, for property, land, and other such, carry the title of executioner, not so that they will serve penalty for being such, simply that it would be noted by whoever it was they were dealing with that this is a human being who is capable of taking another human being's life. And that should be borne in mind. Yes, that was Roy Harper with his spoken introduction to the following song, Dream Society. Yeah, great tune, great guy. What an impact he's made on my life. Can't express enough, actually. Depth, how incredible that man. Unsung musical hero, really. Forgive the pun. Of his age. I know Ewan McCall didn't like it very much, because Ewan McCall's a bit of a folk Nazi, really. You can only have this certain set of chords. You can only play these kinds of instruments, and it's only folk if you have a beard and you drink cider. You know what I mean? He was a really hardliner, folky. In the world of folk, these things mean something. This stuff means something, but Roy was always considered a maverick folk singer because he didn't really fit into any other kind of music genre. But he was easy to say he was folk, really, which he was. I mean, I've always held true to the idea that folk is not what the instruments are that you use and the way in which you structure chords or melodies, or whether you have a beard or not. But folk to me has always been the music that reflects the deepest considerations and concern of the common man at the time. Some of the greatest protest songs out there, they're all folk songs. I often play Christy Moore, fabulous folk singer and folk songwriter. The vast majority of his songs are about social injustice or the need for social justice. And the love songs that he sings are usually a lot more deeper than, I want your babies, I want your babies, you like my booty, you like my booty, like my titties, all that shit. Right, so we have next body and consciousness, section of body and consciousness from Tuning In. It's actually in the film. It's two separate categories: body and consciousness, new consciousness. However, the last sort of three sections, these two sections were quite short, so I just merged them together to make a slightly longer one. And then, Paul Giovanni, patron saint of Critical Mass Radio, has just said he's playing that next. Are you playing the I want your baby, look at my booty, look at my titty. Honestly, that's chart top about. And it is that power we see that is within ourselves that we fail to see. We tend to be able to see it more readily in others, sometimes misplaced, although I would generally say never misplaced. I don't think it's ever inappropriate to try to see the good in any human being, regardless of who they are. But I think the first human being you should do that with is yourself, really. You are, that is to say, your body, the body that your consciousness experiences this reality through, it's the first touchstone to this reality. It's the first point of connection to this existence, and so it must be revered and respected and appreciated, and assessed with a greater awareness than we currently do. And finally, the last one is it's just under 5 minutes, just to round it up, some final thoughts from our channelers, and then I shall endeavour to draw the show to some sort of reasonable close. Indeed, you have been listening to Miquel Llobera, known as Fettle Feign, and indeed I am being withheld from attaining omnipresent super intergalactic oneness by some cheeky monkeys in the chat room who are attempting to stroke my ego and get it to grow big and hard. Thank you very much for your kind sentiments. Enlightenment, indeed. It is a slippery path. Seeking the road to enlightenment inevitably has you falling into the pitfalls of becoming the seeker. Unfortunately, the seeker never finds. Only the beer finds. The one who is being, he is the one who finds, because he realizes he doesn't have to find anything. So he no longer has to look, no longer has to seek, and therefore automatically by default has found. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on with that. So, right. I think I suppose I roughly have about 6 minutes, but I haven't really got anything to fill the time in there, so I shall finish off by saying it's a shame nobody called in to have a chat, maybe in another week's show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience and your tolerance and your open-mindedness. I hope. I can only assume. And remember the story of Socrates when he was asked why the oracle at Delphi had told him he was the wisest man on earth. He replied, the oracle at Delphi told me I was the wisest man on earth, not because I know everything, but because I know that I know nothing. Bear that in mind. And in that vein of truth and honesty, I too know nothing. So on that note, we shall fade out. And please stay tuned for the next show, which is Critical Mass Show, the one, the only, with our patron saint of Critical Mass Radio, Paul Giovanni. After that, we have from Totnes, Hampshire. Homebrew, would you? No problem for introducing you to them tunes. There are some banging tunes. And let me see. Is there anything else? No. So I hope you will all do well in the next following week. Maybe next time I will have achieved omnipresent super intergalactic oneness. Maybe you might have done it too. I believe if we get to that state, we will know instantly. Since I do not know now, I can only assume that it has not instantly happened, and therefore I still have yet to attain it. Maybe I never have to attain it. Anyway, things you do to fill out the time. Love you all, folks. Be safe. Be peaceful. Be patient. Be tolerant. And most of all, just be.